I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through eyes covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything.
How we doing, vetters? Welcome. Beautiful Wednesday afternoon. And I am excited for today's live stream, y'all, because we are going to get into it. We got a few different things to cover and just kind of, hang out with the other vetters, right? And talk, discuss all the late breaking news, everything that's been happening, and what's to come potentially, right? So sit back, relax, and let me take care of everything. All right. I'm going to let some people kind of shuffle in. We just jumped in, so we'll kind of get people going. And yeah, how's everyone doing today? I think we're having a good day. Yeah, it is cold here in Texas. In the South period, I don't know if you saw, there was snow in New Orleans. That is unusual. It's supposed to snow in Houston. It's supposed to snow everywhere. It was a blizzard. The South is not used to this, I promise. We would probably take a tornado or a hurricane over the snow. I know I would. Because then it's over. Unless your house gets taken away. Then that's not a good thing. It snowed in Houston too. Yeah, see. See some beautiful faces in the comments. I want to give a shout out to all the mods that are here. Let's see. We got Heiser, Jessica, Daniel. Who else is rocking in here? Who am I missing? I don't know. That's all I can see for now. Yeah, mods rock, man. Yeah, mods rock, dude. I tell you what. There is if you do these live streams or you have a Discord or something, you literally cannot do it without moderators, right? They do so much and get so little in return. It's a thankless job, I promise you. So I appreciate every single thing that they do. All right, we'll do our special tradition shout out, global shout out here in a little bit as things go. I'm going to start waiting till we're kind of halfway into the live stream here. I don't know how many people are going to show up today. It's kind of middle of the day, so might be just me and you hanging out today, y'all. Talking UFOs, aliens, and whatever else y'all want to get into. Okay. Oh, we got Brookers in the house. Shout out to one of our other mods, Brookers. All right. I tell you what. Let's jump into a clip that I have. We're just going to jump right into this, y'all. This was shared by UAP James, okay, on Twitter. And it says, is Trump better for UFO transparency than Biden? Right. As you know, President Trump, pardon me. As you know, President Trump was just inaugurated into office 2 days ago on Monday. And yesterday, he said that, actually days ago, he said on the 21st, which was yesterday, that he would tell us what was going on with the drones, right? And that didn't happen. Now, granted, I kind of knew that. I mean, just he's got a lot of stuff going on. I mean, President of the United States, yeah, he's got a checklist like no other. And I personally wasn't expecting that to happen. But he did make a comment on it saying, hey, I believe someone named Susie or something. Hey, Susie, find out what's going on the drones, right? So found that to be interesting. But what we're going to do is take a look at a clip from News Nation. And we'll just go with that. Let me bring this up here. Again, is Trump going to be the president that brings, the American people and I guess globally, disclosure, soft disclosure, right? Is he going to reveal that we're not alone? All right, let's bring this up. Make sure I do this right. Here we go.
These things are flying over Bedminster, too. He has a bias for declassification. You have confidence that we'll get to the bottom of this at some point in his second term?
I was very disappointed with the Biden administration. They were just phoning it in. They were gaslighting people at the very end of the administration, saying, "Oh, this is perfectly normal." Was kind of the gist of what specifically White House spokesman John Kirby was saying. My hope is that with the individuals that are going into the Trump administration who have all expressed a very clear desire to be more open about UAP, UFOs, and these drone incidents, it's certainly going to be better from that perspective than the Biden administration.
These things are flying over Bedminster, too. He has a bias.
Okay, interesting. Don't want to get political on the show. Okay, I said I shouldn't say that. I keep saying that. We don't want to get partisan on the show. Political, this sometimes ties into the political landscape. I think that's up for everyone else to decide how the Biden administration handled it. But I guess just to tack on to this conversation and to add on to this, how are people going to describe Trump if he doesn't reveal what they want to hear? What if 4 years pass and Trump hasn't done what everyone wanted, right? We don't get disclosure. Are people going to attack Trump? I guess we'll find out, right? We'll see if people, aren't hypocrites, right? Because they've been talking up Trump a big game. That he knows a lot and he's going to tell. But what if he doesn't, right? They're going to go after him? We'll find out. Shout out to Intruso, who just became a YouTube member. There's a link down below if you guys want to become a YouTube member. Thank you guys so much. And F Pug. Love it. Pug, but you got a picture of a cat. I love it. I don't know. Is that a puma? I can't tell. I am not a zookeeper, y'all. Okay. Shout out to all the new members. Really, really appreciate it. That support means more than you know. So thank you so much. I mean that. Thank you. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Let's go to the comments here and talk about this. So what do y'all think? Is Trump going to bring disclosure? What are some interesting questions you might have about that? Or, whatever. Right. Interesting comments. Let's see here. Knight's Glory says national security is always the excuse as to why they don't say. So I don't think he will be allowed to. That's even if given any truthful info. Knight's Glory, that's a great point, man. And, I can't say I disagree. Again, it's a balance. We do have to protect national security for this country, right? Like, hello, we got borders, we got national security. That is a thing. We have to protect ourselves, right? And up to what point does it break national security, right? I did a video yesterday about Dr. John Blitch, okay, who is a gentleman that came out in support of Jake Barber, right, over the weekend, the News Nation exclusive, right, the egg-shaped UFO, all that. So go check that out. It's on my channel. He talks a little bit about that, and I get into that myself. I sort of explain a lot of that myself and dive into this issue of national security because this is a great question, Knight's Glory. Totally agree with your assessment, my man. Heiser says 4 years is a long time. Well, you're right, Heiser. I agree. 4 years is a long time. A lot can happen in 4 years. So everything doesn't just have to be done this second, right? So I hear what you're saying, my man. And that's definitely a great point. Real quick here. Chris Hovard gifted 5 vetted memberships. Wow, Chris. Chris is the man. Chris is a mod over at Night Shift Podcast with Clint Weldon, and I highly recommend going to check out Night Shift if you haven't already. That's definitely a show you should be watching. Thank you so much, Chris. You're the man, dude, as always. Jason Allen with the $1 super chat. Sweet, bro. You're the man. Thank you so much. Man, I had something I was going to say and I totally forgot, y'all. Oh, I have an interview coming out with Steve Bassett. Okay. Here in a few days, probably Friday or Saturday, definitely this weekend, definitely before Sunday. And we get into this, the Biden or the Trump administration, what's coming. And to be honest with you, Steve says some things in there I have not heard yet. Okay. I don't want to spoil it here, but he was at the hearing. He was behind the scenes. He had, a nice little meeting with Nancy Mace and other people. Great guy, great conversation. And he said a lot of things about stuff that is coming up potentially. Right. So look forward to that interview. If you haven't already, subscribe so you can be aware when that comes out, because you're going to want to hear what Steve has to say. All right, Mallory says, I'm starting to think that Trump pulled a fast one on us. Thought he would have signed an executive order releasing the whistleblowers from their secrecy oaths by now, but he hasn't. That's interesting. He could do that. And that's a great point. And maybe he will. He did have like 500 executive orders or something put in. But yeah, why isn't that one of them? I agree. Again, there could be just more behind the scenes that we just don't know. I mean, clearly there is. There has to be more behind the scenes that we're not aware of that implicate some of these decisions, that need to happen. And with that said, I have an interview coming out later today or tonight, probably tonight, with Kelly Chase and J. Christopher King, who put on the series Cosmosis. And that is something we get into. It's a big, I wouldn't say a big part of the show, but definitely a good chunk of the interview, at least at the beginning anyway, is us talking about that, right? The government's push for disclosure versus just citizen push for disclosure, right? And how those conflict, but also how they can both exist at the same time, right? And sort of waiting for the American government, or wherever you live in the world, waiting for your government, or maybe people are waiting for the American government all across the globe to give us the answers we want, may be disappointing. So great point, Mallory. Lee Asbury says, I think he's going to tiptoe around it, but I think he'll be forced to reveal more than he wants to. Yeah, that's fair. I definitely think he'll make some moves in this topic. Whatever that is, I don't know, but I definitely think some moves will be made, right? But I also think, again, this is just, what I'm hearing from people outside of this topic, right, who aren't involved in the UFO community, just friends, family, whatever, just other people. They saw some of the egg-shaped stuff and the, stuff that happened with Jake Barber over the weekend. I have to admit, they were completely turned off by it. Just like, what the heck is this? And that story didn't spread like they wanted it to, right before the inauguration here. And I think, whether it's right or wrong, I'm just saying, I think that probably actually hurt things as it comes to that. Whatever you want to say, right? Whatever the opinion is, I'm just saying that's kind of how it is, potentially. All right, Brutally Honest says, for now, I have faith in Trump. I think he will disclose what he promised to disclose, in my opinion. Hey, fair enough. Absolutely, fair enough. Question, have you seen the 70s doc on Roswell? Witness said under hypnosis, black Cuban sphere, shocking, giving recent description of pilot graves. Thoughts? Well, we're going to stay on the Trump thing, but I'll tell you what, I'll star your question and come back to it later, brother. All right, Con, what's up, Con? The people that surround him, as far as the people that he has selected, are pro-disclosure. So the needle's on our side this time, I think. Yeah, that's a great point. There's definitely a lot of people in Trump's administration and people around him and people, chirping in his ear and around him that are pro-UAP disclosure. Now, the problem is that hasn't been defined yet. what does that mean, UAP disclosure? That's the thing. They haven't really described what that means. It could be just a case of, well, we're going to start some programs and some things to look into it, but not reveal. Does that make sense? So I don't know. Is it more just kicking the can down the road? We'll find out. All right, some cat on the internet. Republicans since Eisenhower have been given the full folder. That said, it's always need to know if they didn't tell him the first time, why give up the power? Well, that's a fair point. Some might argue that he was told. But yeah, that's a great point. Some cat on the internet. Love that name. How do I get a membership? Love your channel, Patrick. There's a link down below in the description. Craig says, all these people reporting on the story all seem to agree that our biggest adversaries are aware and have their own reverse engineering efforts. So what is this BS about national security? All right, fair enough. That's a fair point. That's absolutely a fair point. And I don't know. Right? The problem is there's no confirmation of that. Again, just they're saying that, but I don't know. Is that what's happening? Is that just an excuse to hide other things, to invoke fear? Right? Hey guys, stay away from America. We got alien UFO tech. Right? I mean, if you just spread the story out far enough, you don't really need to prove anything. But if that's what they believe is happening, it's all about perception. If our adversaries believe something is happening, that's just as powerful as it happening or not. Right? Let's be real. And the unknown is even more powerful and confusing. Right? So who knows? I don't know, but that is a fair point, brother. Timothy Rotter says Trump received like 1 million from aerospace for the inauguration, from what I heard. No way he is going to talk. Besides, Deep State will still feed his fan to the aliens. I don't. Okay. Fair enough. Okay, Jim Gross says, Patrick, I got a response from the senator I emailed about disclosure and laws protecting whistleblower. He told me about Project Blue Book. LOL. Little does he know. I know all about it. Yeah. I think anyone emailing Congress members or senators or whatever about UFO probably knows some stuff. Right. Yeah. Well, I just think it goes to show where it is on their priority list. Right. And to some extent, I get it. Right. If your house was on fire, are you going to be worried about UFO disclosure? Or are you going to be like, we need to get out of this house? Right. So it's just about priorities, whatever that means. All right. Let's move on from this. I got another clip we're going to get into. Let me get out these last two comments here. Mike Williams, Trump did bring up the overclassification issue. That is true. And I believe he gave members of his administration TSIC, I don't know, top secret sort of clearance, right? Temporary for like 6 months or something like that. I could be wrong. Somebody correct me on that. But yeah, absolutely. And maybe those are the first bricks that need to fall, right? That's fair. Maybe those are the first bricks that need to fall. Overclassification, releasing people of their NDAs, and boom, maybe we can start to see some stuff happen. Because as much as I appreciate the shows that come out, documentaries, podcasts, YouTube shows, whatever, at the end of the day, that's actually, a News Nation exclusive is not going to change the law in America. It's just not. Crystal, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate you. All right, let's move on to the next topic, y'all. We got to keep this going. All right. I got another. Another little thing we're going to go over. All right, this is something I'm going to read, which I found to be very, very interesting. Okay, let me bring this up. This is from Lester Nair. I don't know if y'all have heard of this guy. Y'all should be following him on Twitter. Okay, and he was featured in the Jeremy Corbell special that came out, UFO Revolution on Tubi. However you feel about that. And Lester seems like a great guy who just wants to get to the bottom of things, and I can respect that. So let me read a post that he put that I thought was very interesting. All right, he put, "This keeps coming up in my mind. Catastrophic disclosure doesn't exist. It never did. It's a relic of 20th century thinking. The idea that a single event, leak, or revelation could, quote, break through, unquote, and force global consensus. But in today's fragmented post-truth reality, there is no single point of consensus formation anymore. Information alone doesn't move the Overton window. Narrative control does. The concept of controlled disclosure assumes governments can gradually acclimate the public to the reality of non-human intelligence, while catastrophic disclosure assumes an undeniable event would force recognition. But both ideas are built on an outdated model of how society processes information, one where essential authority could dictate reality. That world is gone. Instead, we live in a state of perpetual contested disclosure, a slow trickle of leaks, whistleblowers, and revelations that never reach full consensus because there's no singular trusted authority to validate them. Every piece of evidence is immediately weaponized by ideological factions. The phenomenon itself may be too complex to package into a digestible truth. Even if non-human intelligence revealed itself directly, the reaction wouldn't be universal. It would fracture along ideological, religious, and geopolitical lines. The world doesn't, quote, wake up together anymore. That's why disclosure isn't really the right word for what's happening. It's about consensus, not disclosure. Because real progress doesn't come from a single revelatory moment. It comes from sustained, credible information flow that reduces stigma, increases scientific legitimacy, and reinforces political will. Catastrophic disclosure was never possible, but building consensus is." And then he puts another little addition to this, right? If catastrophic disclosure isn't real, does that mean disclosure doesn't matter? No. It means the real path forward isn't a single moment, but a process. Disclosure and discovery are symbiotic. Greater government transparency reduces stigma, which increases scientific funding, which strengthens legitimacy, creating more political room for further transparency. It's a cycle, not an event. Wow. I got to say, first of all, just well said, well written, well articulated, right? That was really well said. The guy's clearly, has lassoed in his vocabulary in such a way that he can concisely and I think, relatably relay it, right, to his audience and to the rest of us. So I would say, well said. What do y'all think about that? That's kind of an interesting thought for sure, right? Is disclosure just not possible? It's all about consensus. I think consensus leads to disclosure. Right, in my opinion. If Lester were here, that's what I would say to him. I would say, first of all, that all sounds great, but at the end of the day, humanity just deserves to know regardless, right? And whether or not people agree with it or all together globally come to the same consensus is not really has nothing to do with it, in my opinion, in the sense that, right, the truth is the truth. You say it, if people understand it or not, or agree with it or not, that's not up to decide, because there will never be a global consensus on anything. There are people and programs and foundations and organizations that still believe the earth is flat. Right? So you're never going to get global consensus from disclosure, right? But consensus can lead to some sort of disclosure. If the scientific community has equal consensus and then wants to disclose, again, you can't worry about what people are, how they're going to take it. That's not really the issue, right? That's not the conversation. That's sort of moving the conversation into another arena. Now, I'm not saying it's not something that can't be discussed, but for me, it just goes back to the basic idea that humanity deserves to know the truth, whatever that is, however it's received. And if NHI presented itself and not everyone believed it, who cares? That's not up for us to control, right? I think the moment you try to start being strategic and play chess with it is when the issues come in, because who's making the decisions? Who's making the moves? Who voted them in to make the moves, right? And then it's just a race, people racing and competing against what's the best way to disclose information. Again, it's a slippery slope. But what I have to say is well said by that guy, and well written. Guy's clearly very smart and well thought out. So if you haven't already, go follow him on Twitter. All right, let's see if we can get to some comments here, y'all. Any super chats you throw in, I will clearly read those right away. So I'm not saying, I'm just saying that there's a lot of comments here, so I'm trying to go through. All right, let's see here. Humanity deserves to know everything about the reality they live in. Bottom line. What do you mean they? You mean we? This guy's talking like he's an alien. Peter says, love the show, packed from Australia. Shout out to my Australian friends. Did I get that right? Is that remember? I can't do an Australian accent, yeah. Mike says, this is a slow, controlled disclosure. Yeah, see, it's all up to interpretation at the end of the day. You got people say, we're in disclosure right now. Other people say, whatever. It's all interpretation and perspective. And that's the point. You can't control that, nor do I think it should be controlled. You're talking about billions of people across the planet with different cultures, experiences, ideas, thoughts. It's just not possible. Again, so to me, it's like just not worth even thinking about. Max Simon says, trickle down disclosure. Yeah, maybe that's where we're at. And maybe that's what it is. I don't know. It's an argument that will be had till the end of time. Until, I guess, it happens. And even when it happens, it might take time for it to really settle in, generations, right? There are many references in humanity's past where that has happened, right? This new truth of reality is discovered, and then it takes time for it to become the consensus, right? Which is why you can't try to control the consensus before you come out with disclosing what the truth is. That's how you get the consensus, is by revealing that truth with proof and repeatable proof, right? Now, granted, maybe this is a unique situation, but I tell you what, if aliens show up with a spaceship and land, there's just that's it. There's no going back from there. That would be the ultimate disclosure, just like you see in the movies. But great point, Max. Great point, my man. The Mad Camper says, are the puppet socks still feeling bad about the rejection from the show? Nope. They're right here. They're right here watching. What's up? What's up, Saki? No, they're cool. They're working behind the scenes. They're like my little minions. That's how I've been pushing out so many videos lately. They've been editing. So if you see some errors, it's their fault, not mine. Okay. Yeah, man, the hate I got for the sock puppets, just tried something, you know what I mean? Just tried something. But people were livid. But there were also people that loved it. You know, that's the thing when you do something, when you really try something and you know you kind of took a risk, is that people either loved it or hated it, right? And that's kind of the world we live in. But I would argue that's okay, because I don't think you've really pushed the boundaries or really spoken any truth if you haven't been divisive to some extent, right? You know what I mean? If you don't really push the envelope sometimes and take a risk, it's okay, right? If you just toe the line and say what people want you to say, I just, what's the point of that? How's that fulfilling? But Matt Camper, hilarious, dude. Thank you. Grelch says, do you ever get the feeling that humans are a great big Truman Show reality series for some other entity out there? Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I think there's a couple movies about that that are quite fascinating. They're kind of like B movies, like science fiction movies, and who knows, right? Maybe if the simulation theory is true, that's it. That's one of them as well, right? There's a lot of different theories that could be the case, right? What's odd is that we don't know. You know what I mean? But I guess in Truman, he didn't know, right? So that's kind of the idea. It's that's why it's not a zoo, right? Animals in zoos know, right? They can see the zookeepers. They can see people coming to visit them. They can see the glass partitions. They can see the fake rocks and the, thrown together little ponds that they may have or whatever, right? Like the fences, right? So I think the Truman Show is actually a better point to make, to be honest with you. So good on you, Grouch. Yeah, absolutely. What do you think, Grouch? I'd be curious to hear your opinion on that too. Dab says, immediately ask about their video games. That's what I'm going to do. Can you imagine the video games that NHI would have? I mean, good Lord, must be on another level. I thought Red Dead 2 was cool. Imagine what they have, Black Hole 5. And you're like, oh my God, what is this? I don't know. I just made that up. All right, look, let's Dragar says, okay, this is the last question I'm going to take. Then we're going to go to the next clip that I have. Do you believe we have crafts, bodies, etc., contact, and relations? That's a lot. That's tough. A lot of people say we do. But have I personally seen the evidence or the proof? I have not. But that doesn't mean it's not true. Just I haven't seen it. It hasn't been presented to the public. A lot of people talk about it, and there's a lot of stories, right? But that's not enough for me to cross the finish line. It's like, think of it this way. If, let's say, a new restaurant opens in town, and everybody's talking about it. It's the best food, dude. You gotta go. It's absolutely the greatest thing you've ever tried. You gotta go eat it, right? Am I just gonna go tell people now that ask me about that restaurant, oh yeah, it's amazing? No, I'm gonna say, I heard it's amazing, but I have yet to try it, and I can't wait. I hope they're right, right? It's sort of the same thing. I've heard people tell me that we have this stuff, but I haven't seen it yet. So I hope that makes sense. All right, let's go to this next clip that I have. I have one clip from James Fox and one clip from Richard Dolan. All right, let's go to this James Fox one first. Now, I'm supposed to be interviewing James Fox soon, but I know he's on a trip in Brazil, so I don't know if that's going to happen this way, supposed to, but he's busy. Okay, so I get it. I'm hoping at one point it will. They sent me the screener for the program, which I already saw. I bought it right away. I supported James right away and bought that movie and have been promoting it and telling people to go watch it. But we have sort of temporarily set something up, so I'm hoping that will happen soon. But either way, I've got a bunch of interviews still coming out. Steve Bassett, Kelly Chase, J. Christopher King about Cosmosis, and I just secured an interview that I've been trying to get for a couple weeks with James Iandoli from Engaging the Phenomena. Great guy. First time I had him on, amazing conversation. The guy is he's a good interviewer. If you watch his interviewers, he asks some really, really good questions, right? So I'm really excited to catch up with him and kind of, have a little back and forth about what's going on and everything. And that we will film that tomorrow. When it comes out, I don't know. Probably by the weekend or early next week. All right, but let me bring up this clip of James Fox. Let's watch this, and we'll come back to it.
They're working on materials. They're seeking to reverse engineer materials, reproduce materials with the same properties. And this has been privatized to certain groups within the aerospace industry. They're able to do this because of massive black budgets, or whatever we should call them. There then has to be a financial incentive on those corporations not to disclose their progress too quickly. By privatizing the whole thing, haven't we inevitably slowed down the process of disclosure?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And I think the program is the first time I really kind of explored the politics of disclosure, right? And I never really thought as in depth about it, the complexities of it, as I did with Hal Puthoff, who's in the film, who was in somewhat an official capacity set up to, along with a number of other people, to kind of review the pros and cons of disclosure and how it might go about. And because let's just put all of our skeptics aside for a moment and just say that it's true, that we really do have recovered debris and we have bodies and we have definitive proof. Okay. Well, we know that the technology exhibited that these things can do is just light years advanced from anything that we have. The military, inevitably, I'm sure, if they were able to reverse engineer it or not, I don't know, successfully, would want to weaponize it, right?
What do we think of that? It's a great conversation, great interview with Paul Wallace. Go check that out. James Fox there. What do y'all think of that? All right, let me get down to some of these newer comments here. Oh, sorry, Heiser. Here we go. The Fifth Kind podcast. Yeah, thank you, Heiser. That is the Fifth Kind podcast. James Fox, Paul Wallace. All right, Gemma Jackson says, we just need to take common sense into consideration and look at Roswell and the technology we had not long after. Well, common sense is, it's an interesting word to use, to be honest with you, Gemma, because it's ambiguous. What common sense is to you is not what it is to another person. In fact, if you ask people to define it, you're going to get many different definitions, even though there is a dictionary definition. What people think of that is so different, right? But I hear what you're saying. Absolutely. Patrick, I love that guy, Chris Ramsey from Area 52. Thanks for interviewing him. Absolutely. Chris is the man. It's a great show. Area 52, check it out if you haven't. Please do. AKA Blackstone. Any thoughts on Sal Pais, Patrick? I gotta be honest and fair here. I don't know too much about the guy. I've seen a couple interviews with him. I remember one seeing on Theories of Everything a while back, but I don't know too much about him, so I don't really have an informed opinion if I'm being honest. But would I love to talk to him? Absolutely. Seems like I would love to talk to that guy for sure. Very interesting. Again, I've started up doing interviews again, so I've got a bunch coming out, and I look forward to interviewing more and more people. So definitely always throw suggestions my way of who should come on at any time. Always happy to hear those. And he would be someone I would definitely chat with, Blake Stone. Oh, I said Blackstone earlier. Blake Stone. Sorry, brother. Let me know. What do you think of Sal Pais? Tell us in the comments. Phantomos Fanto, Patrick, possible merch idea. Vetted coloring book. Oh, that's interesting. Do they have those? I think they do have adult coloring books now, right? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, sure. I don't know. Would I personally use that? No. Would other people? I guess. But that's an interesting idea. Like, what pictures would we put in? Just UFO cases, single pages of, sort of one graphic that just, is UFO case, and it's just UFO case after UFO case. You can color it. Sure, that'd be kind of cool. I'd love a book like that. Just a book that are one pager after one pager of different UFO events. Right? How cool would that be? With a timeline going in chronological order of time. That would be a really cool book. Maybe I should do that. Great suggestion. Heiser says coloring is just as fun as it was when you were a kid. All right, fair enough, Heiser. Fair enough. Christopher Bling Nougat. Oh, these names sometimes. Nougat. Bling Nougat. I love it. Oh man. That is funny. Patrick, do you ever think Eric Davis or Hal Puthoff will ever come forward on the record about what they know of UAP? Hal Puthoff in 1994 was talking about 0 point energy. I watched video clip, crazy. Yeah, no. I at least Hal Puthoff or Eric Davis, like if it breaks, Eric Davis said he would testify behind closed doors, which I appreciate him being honest about that. And Hal Puthoff, I made a video about both of these guys just recently talking about this. Hal Puthoff basically said he would never write a book, but if he did, it would be spicy. But anything that breaches national security, he's a patriot and he takes that very seriously. So I think they would insinuate a lot and sort of maybe push other people towards that. But I don't know. I mean, that's a good question for sure. Johnny says painting with Patrick. Hey, that could be a new show, like Bob Ross, me like Bob Ross, just painting. You know what I mean? Here's the mountains. They're so beautiful. Now we're going to draw a river. And here's an egg-shaped UFO. You can see it dripping molten. You got to have a soft voice. AMSR. Is that how it is? AMSMR, MOSSP. I don't know. Christopher says, Patrick, my nephews made the name for me. I went with it. Yeah, I get it, man. My nephews have some names for me too. That's funny. No, all good, brother. Steven says, not a question, but just want to say you're amazing. You're doing so many shows these days. I can't see them all when they stream. Anyway, stay safe. I heard on news about a winter storm. Yep. Oh, yeah. All good here. Yeah, definitely. People have been asking, oh, Patrick, do you sleep? You're putting all this content. Yeah, I sleep. Trust me. I don't go without sleep. I cannot function without sleep. I love sleep. I take naps. Trust me. I love sleep. I get plenty of sleep. And yeah, I'm just focused on getting more content out. That's it. I'm just putting in work, just prioritizing my time better, to be honest with you, and just have a better workflow can get more content and videos out. So just watch them when you can. But that is a trend that will continue. I'm not going to stop. There will be 2 to 4 videos released every day moving forward. Interviews, all kinds of stuff. We got the Clips channel that Daniel Clancy, shout out to Daniel, has been working really hard on. If you haven't, go check that out. There's a link in the description. We got a lot of other stuff on there. You can see past clips from other interviews we've done, all kinds of stuff. Definitely just getting it out there. And we're growing fast, y'all. Vetted is growing fast right now. This is going to be a great year for Vetted. So I'm really happy about that. But appreciate the support, Stephen. Juicy Fitness says leaked photos of another egg-shaped UFO released online. Reddit down to earth with Christian Harloff. Yeah, those are from 4chan. Actually, they got put on Reddit, but they're from 4chan. I see even people in the Discord, the Vetted Discord, talking about it. Basically, just eggs in a cave. People are arguing it's these are not AI. These are real pictures. This is that. Personally, do I think those are legitimate, like alien craft or non-human? I personally don't think that. I think they're fake. I think people are LARPing hardcore right now because of what came out over the weekend, and they took it as a perfect opportunity to come in and just fake the UFO community out. That's what I think. That's personally what I think, and people are just biting it. That's just how it goes. But I think it's worth always looking at and making up your own mind, essentially. If you think it's legit, then look into it. It's your time. What you do with your day is your time. Don't let anyone tell you what to do with your time and your day. Personally, am I, looking into? No, I'm not wasting my time with that personally. But if you do, I respect it. I don't put anybody down for thinking it's real or looking into it. But I made my own personal decision. I made a video about the other egg-shaped video that's dangling, right? That's from Antarctica. Allegedly. I don't believe it to be real at all. I just don't. But again, to each their own. Everyone make up their own minds. No problem. Fred says, have you heard of the Dolan phenomena, Patrick? Yes, I have. Out in Norway, if I have that correct, or Netherlands. I think it's Norway, though, but I could be wrong. But yes, I've heard of it. I believe Chris Leto has covered it quite extensively, so you should check out his channel. Andre Wright, been watching a lot of the old alien docs from the 1970s. The descriptions of the ships never changed. The egg, the orbs, etc. Same patterns. Has anyone picked up on that? I hear you, Andre. And to me, honestly, that's more of a red flag, if I'm being honest. Now, I could see how people see it as something good, but then it's very easy to just come out with a new story based off old stories, right? That's kind of a double-edged sword. Yes, the idea of there being a consistency in what people see can be seen as adding some validity to these sightings. I agree, but there's also the other side of the coin, which is it's very easy to fake a story and come out because you just build off old ones, and then people go, see, it's just like this story. That's the problem. That's why proof is essential and not stories. But I hear what you're saying for sure, and definitely people have brought that up. Rob says vetted ASMR channel, Daniel to run it. Yeah. Can you all imagine me just talking to the mic like this, just slowly? Just I drink something like this. I'm just kidding. Can you imagine? It's just me just sipping stuff. I have a friend that he can't stand to hear people eat or drink or anything. It just like gets him. It's like nails on a chalkboard. So I don't know. Kathy says, do you think the government is convincing people of aliens so that they seem to be telling the truth when they come out to the public? Sure. It's a possibility. Everything's kind of on the table, right? Until the real truth is actually revealed, every possibility is on the table. And that is frustrating because it's like there's so many possibilities. Could this be one of them? Absolutely. And great question, Kathy. Patrick, what are your thoughts of the videos in congressional hearing where there's someone in the background looking like they are mind controlling the speaker? I don't know what you're talking about. My bad. Vetted, how long does it take to make a video? How many hours do you spend a day watching videos, doing research? If an alien landed in front of you and was hungry, what food meal would you suggest? How many hours do you spend a day watching videos? Dude, a lot. A lot. Now, that's basically what I'm doing, is just spending all my work time on that. How long does it take to make a video? Just depends. Again, I have a good workflow now, so it can take anywhere from, 45 minutes to actually editing and exporting it out. 45 minutes to, an hour and a half, somewhere in there. But the rest of the time, that's what I'm doing, researching, watching stuff. That's why I've been not really hanging out in the Discord too much, which, by the way, I won't be going to open mics very much anymore, probably just once a week, so that I can just work on doing more research and getting content out, essentially. But the open mics will still be happening on Discord. Just I'll be there once a week, probably Fridays. I don't know what day. I need to pick a day to do that. So, but if an alien landed, he was hungry, what food meal would you suggest? Tacos, baby. Tacos. Tacos al pastor, something. Jeff says, when are you going to have John on again? John Greenwald? I don't know which John you're talking about. Is that who you mean? If that's who you mean, I would love to have him on again. It's been a minute. I've had him on a couple times. Yeah, I would definitely. I need to reach out. Grouch says, who does your research for you, Patrick? You find some clips that are buried deep on the internet. It has to take a lot of time. It's not the time. Look, there's a lot of stuff I see in Discord. I check Reddit, X, just watching stuff myself, looking around, searching. Initially, if I find a clip that I'm going to work a video around, I then have keyword searches, right? I then have something to work off that narrows down my field of search. So then I can start Googling and, looking on YouTube and all kinds of different places to find other context to that, right? So, but I'm trying to cover news that comes out that everyone's kind of talking about. And then from there, I can go and research things, right? So it's not that bad. But no, I do all the research on the show. Now, other people do research and share it with me. I may or may not use it. It just depends. There's a lot of different people. But great question. If someone was brand new to the phenomenon, where would you point them for biggest news? That's a tough one. Vetted. I'd say watch Vetted. Team Alaska question: what level of credibility do you give the photos on 4chan? Me personally, 0. I would say actually -5. Me personally, that's just my personal opinion. But teach their own. Do you think there's been a breakthrough in reverse engineering or from different scientific fields regarding to UAPs or NHIs? Possibly. Again, it's talked about a lot. In fact, I had a great conversation with someone that goes by the online moniker Missile Man. And he is still anonymous. He has revealed his face, but because he holds a clearance and works just quote aerospace and defense, whatever that means, and has an educational background, right, about this. That's a great conversation. We kind of get into some of that. So I highly recommend checking that out on the channel, that interview. But great question. It's almost one of those things we'd never know for sure till it came out, and then everyone's like, "Oh wow, okay, this is crazy." All right, look, let's go to another clip that I have with Richard Dolan that I highly recommend we watch. Shout out to Richard Dolan, great guy. I've never met him. Would love to interview him one day. But I like the way he speaks, and I like listening to him, and I like his interviews a lot. He's very respectful. I like the way he presents his information and his ideas. That's the truth. All right, here we go. Richard Dolan. Sit back, relax.
There is definitely a well-organized attempt to manage and control UFO disclosure. Yes, that's right. But I would only adjust the argument to say that we are looking at an internal factional struggle rather than a carefully managed monolithic plan to just update the cover-up and give it a facelift. There is a plan to update the cover-up and to give it a facelift, but I would argue that that is a response to the initiatives and attempts at getting genuine information out there. That's what I think. So I think that there is a faction that is trying to push this. And I think there's another faction that's got a lot of power and that is able now to use this whole thing to, again, give the cover-up a facelift, make it look a little bit more modern. That's what I think is going on. So what we can all agree on is that the most significant data and evidence still remains hidden behind layers of secrecy, with those in control, I think, showing no genuine willingness toward a full anything like transparency on this subject. So this is information control, plain and simple. So what's being kept hidden from us? Let's get into it. For 30 years, I have studied the history of the UFO phenomenon. So starting very conservatively, there are a few things that I have been saying and coming back to over these many years. Number one, UFOs are real. It's a simple thing to say, but it's just important to get that out there. They represent a real physical phenomenon that has been observed globally for decades, at least for decades. Let's just leave it there for now. Two, they are very advanced technology. These sightings involve objects displaying technology far beyond known human capabilities, whether at the time of their sighting or capabilities today. They're past that. Three, governments take them seriously. There is overwhelming evidence that some governments and military agencies have taken UFOs quite seriously and have investigated them extensively. Four, there's a cover-up. A cover-up of UFO data has existed at high levels, again, for many, many decades of government and military institutions for a long, long time. Five, it involves aliens. There's that word. Call them whatever you want. They're not us. It involves non-human intelligences. In my opinion, probably, but let's just say possibly extraterrestrial, okay? Or maybe interdimensional in nature, if you want to go there, maybe both. Why would that be impossible? Why is it impossible that an extraterrestrial civilization has mastered some version of what we would call interdimensionality, right? Not impossible in my view. Six, there is strong documentation. We have declassified. I mentioned earlier that a lot has not been declassified. That's true. But what has been declassified, there's a lot there. And it provides some of the strongest evidence, in my view, for the reality and significance of UFOs. What got me into this subject many, many years ago is the fact that I started reading declassified military documents where they're describing objects invading sensitive airspace that had no explanation, that were disc-shaped, that could stop, that could take off instantly, that sometimes could zigzag back in the 1940s and 50s. What can do that? what's going to look like a flying saucer, make no sound, evade all attempts at interception, run circles, sometimes literally around your aircraft. Well, we've got a little bit of a problem there. So there are such statements within the military record. They do exist. They're fascinating. And I think, we never, ever want to lose sight of that. It's very important to stay on what is the genuine documentation of this phenomenon. I've talked about it many times. Next, powerful implications. That is, the study of UFOs or UAP has profound implications for science, technology, obviously, politics, our society, our species, hell, our understanding of reality, all of that. Very important. Next, there let us say, strongly appear to be what I think, grays and other types. Some of them are human looking. I really believe that. There are so many of these reports. And look, it's hard to set up a math equation and say, okay, that one is true, that one is false, this one is true, that one's not. It's hard to know. You've got people telling their recollection as best they can.
Yeah. Richard makes some interesting points there, right? What do y'all think of that? And as Ali pointed out, yeah, he said 5 and then named like 10, but I don't mind. But yeah, that was kind of funny. I do that all the time too. I got 3 points to make. 1, blah, blah, blah. B, blah, blah, blah. 18, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I do that all the time. So very funny. Yeah. Look, again, I like Richard a lot and appreciate what he has to bring to the topic. Clearly, he's been at this a long time and deserves that respect, right? Because he's so respectful in how he presents his ideas and his thoughts and his theories and his research. And those are the people I like paying attention to. I don't really care what their opinion is, just how they present their information and thoughts and ideas, right? Respectfully. And that's why I can appreciate them. I like hearing all different sides. I like hearing all different opinions. I like hearing things that may challenge what I think. I'm okay with that. Which is why I put up back-to-back interviews that were completely different this week, right? I got a lot of pushback from people from an interview I put out with a person named The Average Chris, who was an Air Force veteran, who came out and revealed some information about himself. But he was very forthright about his experiences and everything. It was a great interview. But to be honest, a lot of people liked it too. I got a lot of messages about that interview and I don't get a lot of messages about individual interviews, but people were very happy that I put that out, to be honest with you. Right. And a lot of people liked it too. So it just showed me, even though the comments may have reflected something else, I can tell what the reception actually is, because there's a lot of trolls and bots and all kinds of things that try to take over the comment section down there in YouTube and spin a different narrative, right? In hopes that people then won't watch the video. But I think if you're not willing to listen to other opinions you don't agree with, I don't really think you're challenging your own opinions, because if what you stand on is something you believe in, then what does it matter? Why not just take in new information, right? I just don't see the issue with that, right? And but then I put one up with Missile Man. I got one coming out with Kelly Chase. Again, I want to talk to everybody. And get their thoughts and opinions and have respectful conversations, because the majority of people fall in the middle, not on one extreme or the other. And if you want the UFO topic, or if I want the UFO topic to get out into mainstream, then that's what we have to do. Right. For instance, Mick West. I want to have Mick West on again. I've interviewed him 3 times. Right. But I hear how people talk about him. I'm not blind and I'm not deaf, but again, I think just pushing people away because you don't agree with their opinions I personally don't see it that way. I always want to hear different opinions and different thoughts. Again, I don't have to agree with it. There's not one person on this planet that I agree with everything they say. Ain't myself included. I don't even agree with everything I say. I change my mind all the time. I'm sure you're the same way, right? You change your mind. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to take in new information and have a new opinion. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it should be celebrated. But I think it's very important to keep one foot in reality, another foot in, open mind, reality changing possibilities, right? But always keep that one foot in reality. All right. I don't think it's good to go completely down one path or the other, meaning complete skepticism and everything's BS and anyone who believes is an idiot. But I also don't think it's a good idea to go down everything is real and true, and anyone who doesn't see it is just not capable of seeing it and they're stupid and blah, blah, blah. It's like they're basically the same person, if you ask me. They're quite literally the same person, if you ask me. Right. I think the majority of people just want to take in the information. And I'm okay with living in the land of I don't know. I built a house there, a nice little place in the land of I don't know. And I'm okay, propping up and living there. Nothing wrong with that. So, all right, let's get to a few more questions here. This one I want to get to because I said I would at the beginning. Have you seen the 70s doc on Roswell? A witness said under hypnosis, black cube in a sphere. Shocking given recent description of pilot Graves' thoughts. Yeah, I honestly didn't know that, that they had said that. So yeah, that's interesting. I agree. That's always been an interesting description of a UFO, is the sphere with the black cube in it, right? And hearing Ryan Graves talk about it and tell a story and even testifying and other pilots and what they saw. Sure, absolutely. It's data. I take it in, I listen, and I agree. It's quite fascinating. But I think going back to some of the older cases and looking at older footage and stuff, like Eyes on Cinema puts out, I agree. It's fun, it's entertaining, and it's informative. And I agree that all this new information coming out, we can't forget about some of the information that's already come out, right? So I'm all for it. I'm all for it. So great point to bring up. Galactic Hurricane. I never really understood well what happened with Jeremy Corbell at the end of his UFO Revolution show, or what he started to believe in the end, as if his eyes were open to something. I think more than anything, it was, kind of the third episode. There's 3 episodes, season 2, right? It's on Tubi. You can stream it for free. It's called UFO Revolution. And he basically, right, in his mind, he saw Nancy Mace lied in this congressional hearing, saying that Michael Schellenberger is the one that submitted the document for the Immaculate Constellation, right, report, right? And he is actually the one that submitted it, right? And he wanted that on the record. And I guess in his mind, he's saying, if they're willing to lie about this thing, what else are they willing to lie about, right? And I agree with that sentiment. The problem is when you set up that sandbox, now we need to apply it to everything, right? Because I've heard, people, for instance, with Bob Lazar. Okay, maybe he lied about his education, but what does that mean? Blah blah. Well, if we're playing in the sandbox of if you lie about one little thing, what else are you willing to lie about? That also applies to him. That also applies to a lot of people in this field that come out, right? Pretty much everybody with the story that comes out. Eventually, it starts to get exaggerated and blown up. And again, if you create a sandbox, well, now we have to play in that sandbox. So, but if I'm honest, I agree with Jeremy, right? When he says that, if they're willing to lie about one little thing, what else are they willing to lie about? I agree. But again, you have to then apply that to a lot of different stories and a lot of different people in this field, right? And again, once you pull that thread, it's like that Weezer song, right? If you want to destroy the sweater, right? It should be, if you want to destroy disclosure, whoa, whoa, pull this thread. and walk away. Okay. Brain Sifter says if the groups controlling the UAPs know others could easily control them too, they would do everything possible to maintain secrecy. Thoughts? Let me read that again. Okay, I see what you're saying. So if the groups controlling the UAPs know others could easily control them too, meaning the UAPs, right, take control of them, they would do everything possible to maintain secrecy. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. And yeah, I if that is true, I agree. Right? If that is true, then absolutely. Right? Because what you're kind of implying, and again, if it's true, I agree. It's a fragile system, right, of control. So if it's that fragile, you're going to want to keep it secret, right? It's like if you knew that there was a hole in your security system, you would want to make sure that that hole doesn't get out, that could take down your whole project or whatever, right? So absolutely, totally a possibility and a great point. Brain sifter. Is that another cat? Well, we got a lot of cat people. I love it. Oh, I love it. Leanne, shout out Leanne. Wasn't there a problem with the letterhead weaponized logo? That was something that was going out. That the cover letter of the report, this 12th page, was Jeremy Corbell writing a statement, and it had a logo on it and a website. And Eric Burleson had stated potentially, right? That's the rumor, that Congress just doesn't allow that put into the record. But I would argue for Jeremy, just to play devil's advocate here, then just toss the 12th letter and just say, here's the report. Jeremy Corbell gave it to us, right? That doesn't explain the fact of why they wouldn't give Jeremy credit for putting in that report, right? And then people say, well, I just make it about himself. Okay. What else is he going to make it about? If he worked hard and brought this whistleblower in and, had private meetings with Congress about him and then worked really hard to get that report and put into Congress, clearly put in a lot of time, I could understand if I was in his shoes, I would be disappointed by that. Some people say, well, why didn't he see the bigger picture? Okay, maybe, I could see it from both sides, but I can definitely see it from his side too. But again, to me, if that is the issue, that doesn't explain why they wouldn't just give him credit for putting that in. I think that's just what he wanted, credit for putting that in. And, to some extent, I get it. You want credit for what you've done, right? I think we can all relate to that in some way. All right, let's see here. All right, I'm going to go a little bit longer here. A couple more questions, and then I'm out. Got work to do. Oh, real quick, I want to give a shout out. I was supposed to do this weeks ago, and my apologies. There's a barber shop in Brooklyn called Lucky's. I want to give a shout out to Lucky's in Brooklyn for watching the show. I don't know if they'll see this. I hope they do. I was supposed to do that a while ago, so my apologies. But shout out to Lucky's in Brooklyn barbershop. If I'm ever in Brooklyn, I will come and get a nice fade. Is that what the kids call it? A fade. Legend. What's up, Legend? Patrick, Vetted rocks. You rock, Legend. Just curious, Eagles or Commanders, and Bills or Chiefs? Who wins in these two games this weekend? Love you, bro. I don't know, man. I don't watch football, so I don't know what's going on. I don't know. All right, I guess if I had to pick, I'm going to go Eagles because, I lived just outside of Philadelphia for a few years, in Lancaster, even in Philly, 21st and Christian, shout out. Not too long, but a few months. So Eagles, go Eagles. And Bills or Chiefs. I mean, I like the Chiefs. So I'm gonna go Chiefs. All right, a couple more questions, y'all. And then I'm out. Patrick has no idea what a fade is. You're right, Eminem. I don't. My bad. I don't know what a fade is, and I just threw that out there, and I probably sounded pretty stupid. So I would be laughing too. But I happy to be educated on it. For sure. Man, that made me laugh. Very funny. All right, guys, one more question, and then I'm out. Let me see here. MK Martin, I'm in Lancaster. Hell yeah, shout out Lancaster. I lived in Ephrata and as well, and Lidditz. Small towns, but if you're from Lancaster, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Amish country, baby. Great times. Beautiful place. Hated the snow. Let's end on this. Why do you think we are seeing so much division in our community at a time when we need to unify more than ever? Boy, that's a great question, man. That's a great question. And I don't, have all the answers here, but just my opinion, okay? Division in our community will always exist. It will never go away. So to me, the solution to that is to focus on you and your circle and what you do with your time, and focus on unifying and being friendly and respectful and having open, nice, dialogues about this, and doing your own research and doing your own thing, right? Because there will always be division. If people are always just pointing the finger at each other, you're stupid if you don't believe. I see all these people saying that, like, why do people care so much about other people's opinions? That's why there's division, because people are so concerned about other people's opinions and want them to change. And if they don't change and believe what they believe, then they're an idiot. That's why there's division. Focus on yourself. Focus on what you believe and spend your time with that. And if you believe in this phenomena and you want to learn more, all the power to you. If you don't believe in this phenomena and you don't want to learn more, all the power to you. It's your time. Do what you want with it. It's that simple. That's how we can lessen the division. But there will always be division, because there will always be people concerned with other people's opinions rather than focusing on what they want to do, right, to push their knowledge in the topic, right? Let's think of it this way. How much are you actually learning by just putting down other people's opinions about the topic? How are you learning in that moment? How are you progressing forward? You're not, right? So that's all I would say, right? And me personally, that's what I try to do. And I try to surround myself with people who just want to have open, respectful dialogue about this. And that's it. Keep it simple. KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid. I'm not calling you stupid or anybody stupid. I'm just saying that's the saying. So anyway, but great question. I could probably do a whole podcast on that. But appreciate everybody today, and appreciate everybody hanging out. And again, have way more videos coming out, interviews, all kinds of great stuff to cover and report on. Remember, I just report on everything that's happening. Doesn't mean I agree with it or don't agree with it. It's just how it is. All right. There's a lot of differing opinions for people that watch this show, and I take that very seriously. I'm not here to, hopefully I don't create an echo chamber where it's one way or the other, just everything. And then you can decide for yourself. That's it. So really appreciate everybody for watching and supporting and hanging out. If you want to join a nice, open, cool conversation in the Discord, feel free to jump in. There'll be a lot of people in there. There's a link down in the description. And you can join everybody there and hang out. So, all right, guys, we'll see you on the next video. and I'll be doing more live streams here and there, hanging out. I love this back and forth like this. This is really cool to get everyone's opinions and thoughts about this. As you can see, it's very varied, and I appreciate that, and I hope it continues to be that way, to be honest with you. So anyway, we'll see you on the next one. Love y'all. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through eyes covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me